This is Steve Sanchez. Welcome to another episode of Unfiltered. This is where we get one-on-one, we get candid with our candidates that we're working with local business, celebrities, everybody in between. We have, a 20-minute conversation, and again, unfiltered. We like the unfiltered conversations. I think most of you do as well. I'm excited about this next guest, and he's become a friend. He's a jack of all trades, and when I tell you this, not only is he an attorney, not only is he the carnivore attorney, he's also running for political office right here in Nevada. He's running for Assembly District 42 as a Republican. He's seeking the nomination, which of course will be happening on June 9th. Joining me now on Unfiltered is Christopher Brandlin. Christopher, welcome to the program.
Steve, thanks for having me again.
Absolutely, man. We just want to have a pretty easy and laid back conversation, much different than when we do our radio show. And I thought the public, especially your potential constituency, needs to hear from you from an unfiltered perspective of, why you're running. But first, before they even get to that point, tell us about Christopher Brandlin. How'd you start, who you are, what you've been doing, why you're successful, and how that led to run for political office?
Sure. Well, just to give you a brief introduction for those who do not know me, my name is Dr. Christopher Brandlin. I'm running for Assembly District 42 to restore, public health, strengthen education, and improve public safety, because I do believe that stronger and healthier communities are going to be much safer, more productive, and economically going to be much stronger too. But my huge focus is, even though I'm an attorney, I'm a research doctor, and I'm a dietitian, I'm a broker, and I'm an author, I'm a health advocate above all. So my focus is going to be making our community healthier. And this, one of my major kind of focuses, if you may have noticed, Steve, and a lot of my recent reels has been, prevention before prescription. I think that's a different approach we really should take. And I think it's conventional medicine has gone to the wrong direction. And I still have a lot of respect for doctors, but I think it's kind of the system that we're kind of designed where it's not really treating patients. They wait to the last minute. That's why I said in a lot of my podcasts or some of my reels is that we don't really have a healthcare system nowadays. We have a sick care system where we wait for people to get completely sick, and then they have to resort to pain, medications for management. And if we can focus on healthy lifestyles and diet, we can prevent that. And that's why I think prevention should be a humongous focus of my campaign.
Well, I was just on your website, and I've gotten to know you. I've had you on the show, and I've looked at a lot of your issues, but you absolutely are about making Nevada healthy again, about making sure we tackle the obesity issue and nutrition issue, and the government, even though their heart's in the right place, right? They try to, have programs in place. They seem to have failed because, let's be real. And I'm speaking for myself personally, Chris, because I've lost 52 pounds in 6 months. I went to the doctor, and this was September of 25. And he said, Steve, you got the big D, diabetes. And I said, you're kidding. It freaked me out. It crushed me. My A1C was 9.3. And he said, look, it's not a death sentence, but you're going to have to be on meds. You're going to have to do this. You're going to have to do that. And I'm like, I don't want to do any of that. I don't want to be a diabetic. He goes, I know you don't want to, but you are. Your unhealthy lifestyle brought you to this place. And I said, look, will you be able to give me 60 days to just rethink everything, change my life, do this lifestyle change? And he said, frankly, Steve, everybody says they're going to do this, and most of the time you're going to have to end up on the meds because you just can't let this diabetes thing be a bigger issue than it is. Make a long story short, 6 months later, my A1C is 5.4. I've lost 52 pounds and counting, and I feel great. And I did it. And this is where, we're going to pick your brain on this, Chris. I did it doing kind of a carnivore. And you're going to speak to that because that's an important thing. And when people look at you, especially when you're working out in the gym and you have your shirt off, you're freaking ripped. I now have high protein, low carb, good fats, good fibers, I exercise, and my body craves it. It's worked for me. I'm not saying it's going to work for everyone, but it does work for me. and you are a huge advocate about this, thus the nickname, the Carnivore Attorney. Speak to us on that.
Yeah, so as I may explain in prior discussions, is I came from the health and fitness industry. So I was actually a fitness trainer and all natural bodybuilder during law school, and that paid for my law school tuition, is running a good gym, running my own fitness industry, and basically competing to kind of motivate myself, and I stayed out of trouble. And I'm not sure if I actually discussed this to you in person or on the podcast, but sometimes it's a wake-up call to bring us back to health. And I think you had your wake-up call, but I'm not sure if I told you specifically. I had my own personal wake-up call because after I won my last contest, I passed the bar exam and I was practicing law for 5 years. And then I actually got sick and I wasn't sure what was getting wrong with me because I was still eating clean. But I did the wrong choice I went to conventional medicine, and I actually was basically I was overfed pharmaceuticals. I don't think all pharmaceuticals are completely dangerous, but I think they're overprescribed. Yeah. And they, instead of treating the root problem, they actually just fed me a bunch of pharmaceuticals, which made me much worse. And I actually had to resort to an intestinal surgery because the pharmaceuticals incinerated my intestinal lining. And this is what really woke me up, Steve. I was promised I'd be in and out of the hospital for like a small resection of like a part of my intestine. I woke up while they're cutting open my intestines. They didn't give me proper anesthesia, and I woke up during the surgery. And a lot of complications. They had to cut me open 2 more times while I was fully awake. And I finally took it to myself to kind of look into other sources, look into I actually still converse with medical doctors, but I focused on the medical doctors who thought outside the box. Yeah. And they said, look, we did like some excessive blood work. You got some Lyme disease. But what I actually did is I kind of just completely got off a lot of medications, and I just really approached my lifestyle and my diet. And that's actually where I went to the carnivore diet, because it's like the elimination diet. I don't think everybody has to be carnivore, but I want everybody to eat just real food. And here's some of the simple basics. Eat food with one ingredient. Do not eat a bunch of processed crap. Include a quality animal-based protein in almost every meal, because a lot of people are just malnourished. And if we focus on some of the basics, we can make just the approach. And that is actually why I pursued my PhD in public policy and public health, is because I've seen it firsthand that we're treating symptoms instead of solving problems, right? I'm running for a District 42 because I want to bring a prevention first approach, because when people are healthier, everything improves, education, safety, and our economy. And this is where I can see we can make a huge focus. But my best kind of aim on this, because my policy issues are so great that a lot of candidates kind of ignore it, but they don't know it that well. But it's everything that our community really concerned about. These are to be honest with you, these are nonpartisan issues. Yeah. And the most of the district is actually nonpartisan. You can't be too far right or left. I'm focusing on what the parents and the families really care about here in the district.
I'm glad you said that, because I shouldn't say not every, I hear no one aside from Bobby Kennedy Jr. Speaking about this and why it's important. And we are seeing a higher, obesity rate, worse, high blood pressure, heart disease, higher degree of cancers. There's a variety of things that are happening. And nobody seems to want to talk about it. So there's always a Band-Aid, and you're right. And look, I'm not against pharmaceutical companies either. We need them. They're appropriate in the right places. But, I think God placed, natural elements on this planet for us to pursue. And I always believe maybe pursuing that first is the best line of defense first. And for me, it's worked. And I think for many others, it's worked. It's obviously worked for you. So, we get you in to the assembly. Now you're here, June 9th comes, and you get the Republican nomination in the primary, and now you're facing your opponent who is on the left. And it seems that the left's answer to everything is just throw more money at things, and government has the solution. If you were facing your opponent, and now it's June 10th, you're the nominee for the Republicans for District 42. and you're facing your opponent, and they're with the mindset of government, government, government. What do you say to that? How do you implement a policy that is very simplistic, but gets the other side to understand and want to work with you across the table?
Well, here, just a basic kind of focus is on our public health system. Okay, I think a huge focus should be on our younger generation because, as I told you, Steve, those are our future leaders. And in Las Vegas, we actually have the highest childhood obesity rate of the entire country, and it's not getting any better. And the current incumbent, who I'm going to be facing off in the midterm, Steve, she does not look like the ideal person that's going to be promoting public health, health and wellness. But I found out that she was actually the leader of a health and wellness group. That just kind of shows you how we're heading in the wrong direction.
Right. I agree.
But just some of the basics, like changing the food nutrition programs at all the schools. When I was doing my clinical rotations as a dietetic technician, I saw this food that they're serving the kids at the schools, and I immediately spoke up. I'm like, you're not even serving them real food. No. Like, this is all processed crap. No wonder our kids are so over medicated and sick and just overweight nowadays. This is going to be a major focus. So, and healthy
cheaper.
Yeah.
Is it because it's cheaper? Is this why the government does it? It's cheaper.
And Bobby Kennedy made a good point on that. Okay, that people think it's cheaper, but indirectly, if there would be spending like the lowest amount of money on just cheap junk food, they're actually going to be spending a lot more with their medical bills later on in life.
Yeah.
So I mean, some of the people I think that are like the most financially savvy to take care of themselves, even though they don't earn that much, they have the best kind of savings. They take so much good care of themselves that they do not have to rely on medication for the rest of their life. I mean, because healthy people don't burden the healthcare system. They strengthen the economy. And this is what I'm going to focus on.
With that said, okay, so let's even take it a step further. Obviously, you would be representing District 42 in the great state of Nevada in the Assembly. For people that, and let's just use the state of Nevada for a moment, obviously, with our own healthcare system that we have and the different providers that we have, would you champion or would you be in favor of some legislation that rewards people for good health to help with the reduction of, let's say, their health insurance premiums? If you're, doing the right things and you're not seeing the doctor a lot, you're doing your annual physical and you're eating right, shouldn't healthy people be rewarded on either a tax credit basis or some type of credit, or some type of reduction in premium, a reward, so to speak, as a reward, right? I mean, am I wrong on that?
Yes, and actually, we actually discussed this in one of our last chats, and I do support like incentivizing like healthy lifestyles through lower premiums, but let's take a step back. I think it has to be done like responsibly. So this is where we really have to have like a good focus and good like checks and balances across the board. So the goal is to not punish people for being unhealthy. It's to reward prevention and give people the tools to become healthier. So I want to kind of make that clear because, when someone says like, hey, we should have lower premiums for the healthier people, they're like, yeah, but you're just going to be charging extra for the unhealthy people. It's like, no, you're thinking of it the wrong approach. It's not. And I want to make it very clear that it's not going to be punishing people that are having health problems. It's going to be rewarding people that are taking the approach for prevention and giving them the proper tools to become healthier. And this is where I'm kind of like motivating more kind of inclusion of health coaches with some of the local schools and the hospitals too.
Yeah. All important stuff. So, moving away, Chris, from healthcare, law enforcement, safety, what's your stance on safer communities, the homelessness problem? I read something earlier today, I think it was, Mayor Berkeley said, we're bringing in Harvard people to study homelessness and why this is happening. And I'm thinking, are you freaking kidding me, Mayor? Give me the mayorship for 30 days and I can help end homelessness. I don't think we need to bring people from Harvard in to study homelessness. I think we just need to have some decisions and action and some leadership and have a bipartisan situation to rid the community of this, because it's becoming very intrusive and in a lot of ways dangerous for communities.
And this is where I think we need to take an approach to provide more support for our law enforcement. This is why I'm kind of like, sponsoring the LVMPD Foundation, because they have Women of Metro, trying to recruit more officers into law enforcement. Because nowadays, when you got certain individuals, such as the left, who want to defund the police, we need to encourage more law enforcement because they're short staffed. And when people think about it, what they want to do for work, I want to be a police officer, but guess what? They're not even funding that well. Who knows if I'll get a salary? But people are not going to like me because there's going to be a certain group, aka the left, who is kind of shaming me for being law enforcement. But I would think that I do believe, that law enforcement, they need, timely, accurate information to do their job effectively, but we have to respect constitutional protections and individual privacy. But, this is where we come balance. We have to keep our communities safe while upholding the rule of law. And one other kind of point that I'm going to make, Steve, is that public health and public safety do have a similarity where it's not just about enforcement, it's about prevention. Okay. Preventing health problems is going to be a similar approach to approaching public safety. Because if we can improve public health, reduce addiction, which is a humongous problem when it comes to public safety in the community, with a lot of the transients around the community, but also strengthening communities, and we can actually reduce crime at the spot if we take the right approach. But I really want to focus on a lot of the local playgrounds, because I had a lot of parents approach me and they said, I don't feel safe taking my kids to the playgrounds nowadays because we have a crime rate. So this is where I want to have law enforcement aimed at the proper areas, not only at the local schools and certain communities, but really aimed at some of these kind of community recreation centers where we can encourage more parents to come out with the children.
Yeah, no, I love that. Great ideas. And you've got a whole list of great ideas. I know people can find you on your website, chrisbrandlin.com. Of course, that's going to be showing up here at the bottom of our screen. So for our people watching this, they can go find you. They can help you, volunteer, send money. Campaigns aren't inexpensive, especially when you're fighting the left. And that's what you'll be doing in June when you get across the finish line in this primary. So let's close out with this. Chris Brandlin, the guy. What do you do for fun? What drives you? Is it music? Is it always in the gym, or is it going to those great steakhouses that I always see you in, posting great pictures of big T-bones and beautiful fillets? What does Chris Brandlin do in this great place called Las Vegas for recreation?
Well, Steve, as you probably can tell, I stay pretty active. And one thing I've kind of learned is, especially practicing law, the legal industry, I don't have a respect for a lot of people in the legal industry for one reason. They have a lot of problems that they can't deal with it properly. And the legal industry is really well known for having addiction problems, alcohol and substance abuse. And I just try to, if you have stress, there's other ways to approach your stress naturally. This is why I stay active, because fitness is a big part of my life. It's my overall passion. I work out regularly. I'm still been involved in wrestling, and that's why I'm going to the U.S. Open tournament this weekend too, to support my, some of my younger wrestlers, but also some of my colleagues. And I actually enjoy pushing myself physically. It makes me stronger. It makes me feel more accomplished, and it keeps me grounded. I spend a huge amount of time out in the community, because that's why you see me at these steakhouses, because I think community involvement, getting together, is like one of the best ways to kind of promote a positive kind of behavior and environment, whether it's whether through its events or meeting people or just walking around the neighborhoods with my dog, as you probably see my dog Remy, because a lot of my free time is going to long walks with him and going out to get to know the entire neighborhood. Those are some of my other things. But yes, I am an adrenaline junkie. I skydive occasionally, and I do ride a motorcycle. But the fitness is probably my biggest passion.
Yeah, I've seen some of the posts that you make, standing on your hands, and some of the things that you do. I'm like, Lord, if I tried that, I'd probably twist my neck in two like a pretzel.
You got to ease into it, but you know what? There's always a way. And the first thing that stops you before anything is your mind and not your body. And I think if you can push that threshold longer, you will be surprised on what your body can accomplish.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Chris, I know it's, the time has come and gone, but it's a good snapshot for, Las Vegas, Nevada, your district, to get to know you and a couple of the policies that you're passionate about. And I can't see how anybody couldn't see what you see and feel as important, that it's as important when it comes to health, especially with the kids and the schools and obesity and all the things that are happening, living longer, and there's opportunities to do it. You're certainly on the forefront of doing a lot of that. I see all your community involvement, with Scouts of America and just a variety of different things that you do. So you would absolutely be a great addition to the assembly in Carson City representing D42. No question about it. I think most people are going to see that as well. And we appreciate you hanging out. Any closing remarks for everybody watching? Because there's going to be a few people watching.
Yeah, so I'll make a little interesting remark. I'm actually believe I can change history this year, Steve. Steve, when do you think the last time we've actually had a Republican incumbent in the 80-42?
Oof, gosh, years.
Take a guess.
I'd say probably at least 20 years.
40 years.
That is insane.
But actually, with my communications with the entire community, they actually think I'm probably going to be the one person to flip the seat. And I am confident I am going to flip the seat this year. So I am going to change history.
That is fantastic. Chris, we appreciate it. We wish you all the best. I know we'll be talking soon. Continue to keep posting those good social media posts on the fitness. And we appreciate you hanging out with us just for a bit on Unfiltered today.
It's always a pleasure, Steve. Thanks for having me.
All right. That was Chris Brandlin. And his info is on the bottom. Check him out. Help him. By helping him, you help yourself. Appreciate everybody hanging out, watching us. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode. Peace.